In this video, we will talk about C language. As a quick review for the fundamentals of C, I will show you a C program and talk about the language based on the example. Let's first take a look at this program. The program is composed of three parts. The first part is the definition for struct as book. And the second part is a function called init. And then the last part is the main function. Let's start with the main function. In the main function, there is a variable called Harry Potter 1, which is in the struct of book, defined in above. And then in the function of main, it calls init in order to assign values to Harry Potter 1, this specific variable. After the initialization, it then prints the content of Harry Potter 1, and specifically it prints the name of the book. Then let's take a look at the structure as underscore book. So in as book structure, which is the type of Harry Potter 1, it has four parts in the struct. The first one is the ID, the second one is the name, the third is the author, and the last is the number of pages. In the last, let's take a look at function init. In function init, we can see that it basically just assigns values to the variables inside the structure of asbook. And more specifically, we can see that assign the ID 1 to the book. It assign the book name to book name. Assign the author's name to book author. And then lastly, assign the number of pages to the field of M pages. One thing that you may want to pay attention is that here in order to index the field inside the struct, it uses arrow to represent that. This is because variable book is a pointer. It's a type of book star instead of just book. So if we want to index the field of a variable, say if we have a variable called A and it is in type of book, instead of the actual pointer, we will need to use a point ID, for example, instead of a arrow ID. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. What is the output for this program? Feel free to take a pause and think about it for a while. The output is pretty straightforward, which is book one's name, Harry Potter, and the Philosopher's Stone. And this is because the value of Harry Potter 1 name will be assigned in a function init. So when function init was called in main function, Harry Potter ice field will be initialized. And for book name, the specific field, it will be assigned with the value of Philosopher's Stone. Now let's take a look at the second program, also written in C. As you will see, this program is very similar to the previous one, other than the function of init. And you may already find that here we pass Harry Potter 2 directly into this function init2. And here, the type and here, the type of the variable is no longer the start of the book, which is like the pointer of the book. Here is actually in the type of book. What does this mean? This means that when function init2 was called, Harry Potter 2, this specific variable is actually copied into this function, and then it's assigned those values over there. As a result, the actual Harry Potter 2 variable, which is defined and declared in main function, will not actually be copied with those values. And this is the reason why if you look at the output over here, you will notice that it doesn't actually output the value of the book name, which is supposed to be assigned over here in net2. Instead, it just output empty, and this is because when we initialize Harry Potter 2 over here in the main function, we just assign as a 0. Okay, so now let's take one more step and check a third function. And as you can see, I marked some of the code over there and then leave the call as well as the function declaration as empty. Please also take a while and then think about what would you put over there in order to initialize Harry Potter 3 correctly. Okay, so now let's work on this together. First of all, as we mentioned in Harry Potter 2 case, the thing that we passed over here to init3 has to be a pointer of a variable, especially a pointer of a variable in the type of book, because in that case, the operation inside init3 will be able to really override the value inside the memory that the pointer points to. So now let's first write the variable as well as the type for init3, the function. Okay, so if we are going to pass book as a pointer over here, then how we should call the function? So here, if we look at the type of Harry Potter 3, you'll be able to see that it is actually in type of book star. So that means that we can just pass Harry Potter 3 directly because it's already in the type of book star. So here, in the function, like in the statement that we call init3, we should put Harry Potter 3 as the actual variable. Okay, and now let's uncover the rest of the code. If you run it, you'll be able to see the actual answer will be book 3's name, Harry Potter, and the Prisoners of Azkaban.